loneliness, a deep feeling of emptiness that drowns you, that feeling of shallowness and fear that engrips you. It's hard. Hello. So I recently went to the shop. I went to Aldi to do a few shopping, and I did my shopping. I was done with it, so I pushed my trolley to the side so I could arrange my bags, arrange the stuffs I had bought. And I did not have enough bags to pack my stuff, so I was a bit confused. I was a bit I was struggling, to put things together. So while I was doing all this and sorry, and struggling to pack, I noticed an elderly lady by the side. She was standing like just a few feet away from me, and she was just watching me. And initially I was wondering what she was looking at. I was just like, why is she staring at me like this? But I kept on with what I was doing. I kept on packing my stuff. And I tried as much as possible not to look at her, not to, make eye contact with her. But I noticed her eyes were just fixed on me and what I was doing at the moment. So I finished packing, and then I was loading the bags, the few stuffs I had. I was loading them back into the trolley, to push outside so I could get a taxi. So while I was at this, she was still looking at me, and at some point, I looked at her. I didn't mean to look at her, but my eyes just kind of landed on her, and our eyes locked, and she smiled at me and I smiled back. So I didn't know that the smile I smiled back was like a welcome invitation to come closer. And immediately I smiled back at her. She just like walked straight to me, and then she said, "Hello." I said, "Hello." She was like, "Are you all right?" I said, "Yeah, I'm fine. Are you all right too?" She said, "Yeah, she's very fine. That she's been watching me, that she noticed I was struggling." And I said, "Yes, I was struggling because I didn't come with the right amount of bags, and I did not want to buy an extra bag. I just felt like I could do with that bag money to do some other things." So she stood beside me, and while she was standing beside me, I was on my phone. I was trying to get a taxi. I was trying to call the taxi. Then she was just talking, and the first thing she said is, "Oh, I like your hair." I was like, "Oh, thank you." And then she went ahead and said, "Oh, I like your shoe." And I was like, I looked at the shoe, and there was nothing special about the shoe. It was just an ordinary winter boot. So within me, I was wondering, what does she like about it? So anyway, I was like, "Oh, thank you very much." So there was just this awkward silence between us. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know how to chat her up, because she is far older than me. Like, me looking at her, I could tell she couldn't be less than 70, so I didn't really know what to discuss with her. So I kept quiet, and it was still on my phone. And she said to me, "Yeah, do you mind if I just borrow like 2 minutes of your time?" And immediately she said that, I put my phone down. So I was like ready to listen to her. And she said, she just wants to talk. She said she just wanted someone to talk to. That, she's a bit bored, and she just feels like, if she chats with someone, even if it's for 2 minutes, it would make her day. So I was like, wow, okay, yeah. And we started talking, It was really nothing to me. I just felt like the discussion was, I don't know how to explain it, but I just felt like, wow, someone would just come and, like hang around and look for someone to talk to. That was the first thing that occurred to me. But then I decided to be patient and hear her out. So at this point, I got interested in her. And then I asked her, "Where do you stay?" She told me. She asked me. I told her. So she asked me if I have a family. I said yes. And she asked me if I stay with them. I was like, yes. And she went ahead and said, "Wow, you're very lucky." So at that point, it struck me. That's comments struck me. And I asked her, "Why did you say that?" She said because you have a family and you live with them, you're not lonely, and you always have people around you that to talk to communicate with, you know. And then I was like lost of words at that point. So I asked her, do you have a family? She said, well, she used to, but they are no more. And then to me, when she said they are no more, I thought maybe they are all dead, kind of. She said, no, not really. She has kids. She has 4 children. 2 of them stay outside of the country, outside of UK, and the remaining 2 live here in UK. But they don't come around to visit her. They don't come around to spend time with her. They don't see her. Once in a while they call. Once in a while they send flowers. And that once in a while is like once in every 6 months. They send her flowers, or if it's her birthday, they send her a birthday card and flowers with chocolates, and that's it. But she doesn't really get to see them, and that's what she really wants. That it's not as if she is not grateful for the gifts they send to her, because for you to even send someone a gift, it means you have the person at heart, or you have the interest of the person at heart. But that she would have loved more than just flowers, chocolate, and a birthday card. She would have loved to see someone. She would have loved to touch, to feel them, you know. So then she went ahead to say she has grandchildren. The first time she saw her grandchildren, all of her grandchildren, was when they were born. Like, whenever any of her child has a new baby, they bring the baby to see her, and after that, that's it, they're gone. And as at the time she was talking to me, her last grandchild, the last grandchild, was 13 years old. So you can now imagine how old the other children are, and you can now imagine when last they came to visit her with their kids. At this point, I just felt I should tread carefully, because this is family we're talking about, and people hold their families very dear to their hearts. I felt I should be very careful when I was communicating with her about family. You know, I did not want to like kind of trigger any emotional feelings in her. I did not want to remind her of something she might have forgotten. So I tried as much as possible to avoid certain personal questions. So I tried to shift her attention away from the family thing, and I was like, okay, so, you know, where you attend, do you have a place I asked her first, what's your faith? Are you a Christian? Are you Muslim, an atheist? What exactly? She said, well, she used to be a Christian. But after a while, she just like fell off. You know, she stopped going to church. She just stopped practicing her faith. So I ended there too. I didn't want to go further. I didn't want to like push. I didn't want to. You know, I was trying as much as possible not to step on sensitive issues, sensitive topics, because I know that the issue of religion is also another very sensitive topic. I didn't want it to be like I was also reminding her of something that might have happened to her as a Christian that made her leave, or, you know. So I ended it there, and she was like, no, I'll go ahead and talk to you about it. So I was like, well, if you're comfortable with it. And then she told me that one of the reasons why she left was because her last husband was an atheist. He didn't believe in religion or any of those things. So she kind of told along his line. She followed him in that part. And ever since then, after the death of her husband, she did not go back to Christianity or whatever. So she decided to remain there, which is very, very understandable. And then I asked about her friends. Does she have friends or neighbors? Because she told me that she doesn't have anybody at all that comes to see her. And that, in fact, one of the reasons why she was there at that point in Aldi, where she saw me, was to see if she could chat with 1 or 2 people. That she didn't come there to do her shopping. She didn't come there for any shopping. She's done her shopping days before. But she was bored. She was tired of staying indoors, so she felt she should come out. Now, whenever she comes shopping like this, it's kind of connects her to people. Sometimes if she's not chatting with the girls at the till or the people selling at the till at the counter, she's either talking to some of the customers that have come to buy their things, but she just likes to engage herself. And she does it. She likes to do it in like shopping places like that. And at some other places, she goes to like the community centers. She likes to go to the community centers once in a while to hang out with them, to have lunch, to have a cup of tea with them, to spend time, just so that she will see someone to talk to. Because if she leaves herself in the house all day, every week, just her alone, she could just be depressed, and who knows what's going to happen after that. And at this point, I understood where she was coming from. So I knew exactly why she was hanging around there, looking at me and just looking for someone to talk to. So we got talking. We discussed a lot of things. We went further. She asked a lot of questions because she was so inquisitive. She wanted to hear a lot about me. She wanted to hear a lot about other cultures, about other races, about things happening everywhere. So, and while we were talking, I noticed something very important in her. I saw her face lightened up. It glowed up. She was smiling like she has not smiled in a long time. At some point, she laughed so loud, I had to look around because people were looking at us. I had to look around to know, just to see, notice if we were like, attracting attention. And she said she has never laughed this loud in a long time. That's, she just wished she could always come out like this every time and see someone to spend time with her. And she made mention that sometimes when she comes out like this and tries to chat people up, that not everybody has the patience to actually stand, or not everybody has the time to stand and want to talk to you, or want to chat you up, or want to communicate with you, or want to have a laugh or two. That even when they stand, even when they stop, initially when she tries to chat with them and they stop for a while to talk, you could see you could see that they're in a hurry to leave. They're just talking to her and they're nodding their head and they're just okay. They're just trying to like fasten her up, just round it up, I'm leaving. Everyone is in a hurry. So we talked, and then after a while I just told her, because this was like almost 45 minutes that we stood there talking, and I knew I had to leave, so I can go and pick my kids from school. So I told her, I'm sorry, but at this point, time up, I really have to go now. I need to go do the school runs. And she was very grateful. I was also very grateful that I didn't just walk out at that time. And so I left. So when I got into the taxi, I don't know why, I just turned around and looked at her, and she waved. And I didn't know she escorted me out. Like, I didn't know she walked out of Aldi after I did. I didn't know her for how long she was standing there watching me enter the taxi. So immediately I saw her wave, I waved, and I left. But that reminded me of something. That really provoked something in me. It's a very lonely world, whether you have family or not. Loneliness can have different kinds of meaning, irrespective of if you are a family person or not, if you have family around you or not, if you have friends or not. There are people that have families, but yet they are lonely, because these families, at the point when you need them, they are nowhere to be found. Number one, it's either they are always very busy doing their own things, of course, which you cannot blame them. Everyone has to work to fend for themselves. Everyone has to take up their own responsibilities at different times in their lives. Or it's either they don't even care about you. There are some families that do not share this love amongst themselves. There are families that do not know if the other siblings are existing. There are some families that only think about themselves. They don't really care if you are there. Like, it doesn't matter. It's not a thing of a bother to them if you are there. Yeah, once in a while they can just say hello, but it ends there. There is no deep connection, if you know what I mean. There's no deep connection in the family. So at that point, if you find yourself in a family setting like that, it still evokes this feeling of loneliness. And then secondly, the world in which we are, or rather we have found ourselves right now, a lot of people are lonely. Not because they don't have every of this network around them, they don't have families or they don't have friends or whatever around them, but because technology has, in one way or the other, divided our attention. Technology has, in one way or the other, gripped our attention. You get on the buses, you get on the trains these days, everyone is on their phones, everyone is on their iPads or the tablets, what is it? The good old days when people get on the bus and communicate and talk to each other, even if you don't know anybody, even if you have no idea where the next passenger is coming from, but you talk, you just chat, even if it's for 2 minutes before the person comes down from his talk. It's no longer there. It's such a cold world now that everyone is married to technology. Everyone is married to their phone. Now you could go on your Facebook and you notice you have up to 1,000 friends there. But in the real life, how many of these friends do you actually chat with, or chats with you, or picks the phone once in a while to say, how are you doing? Long time. Or rather, how many of these people do you also reach out to? But I think a lot of us are very, very fast to look up people's updates on Facebook, on WhatsApp. Immediately they put up a new update, you're very fast to click the button to see what's happening in their lives. You're very fast to want to see the new pictures they have updated or they have uploaded. You are very fast to see exactly what's happening in the life of the other person without actually reaching out to the person. So it's like technology, in one way or the other, has brought this barrier between us and people, between us and our loved ones. There are people that they could be online. They could be online on Facebook, or either they're online on WhatsApp. They're online. You see the notification button that they're online. You try to chat them up, they might not even respond to you. And sometimes, even when they do, it's always like in a hurry. There is no connection there anymore. Everyone has their attention diverted. Everyone is busy with one thing or the other. You know, the cord of connection, like this emotional cord or feelings that people are supposed to share together with, is no longer there. Everyone is very distant from each other. You know, there are situations where people could be very close to each other, yet very distant from each other. You could be living in the same city, living in the same town, living on the same streets, but yet there is no time to spend with each other. There is no time to communicate with each other. There is no time to check on each other. And sometimes it's not just because of your doing, it's because of the responsibilities that have been laid upon people. It's because of the expectations. When you are expecting so much of yourself, when the society is expecting so much of you, some people actually find out that just because of the responsibilities they have upon themselves, the bills and all that, they work all the days of the week. They have no time to themselves, let alone having time for a family member or a friend. They are just always on their own, doing their things by themselves. In this way, they are lonely because the only thing they know is work. The only people they now regard as family are their co-workers. The only people they now regard as their acquaintances are their co-workers, because that's where they find succor. That is where they find people to even say hello or hi to, because of the expectations of the society. Society is expecting you to pay for this bill, expecting you to pay for that bill, expecting you to meet up to this. You yourself, you're also expecting a lot from yourself. You're expecting to meet up with these bills, with this rent, with this, with this, and also to save for your future, to save for your children. There's a lot going on. And all of this have, in one way or the other, separated us from the love of each other. And then when it comes to the loneliness that we bring upon ourselves, some people, there's actual loneliness that we bring upon ourselves. That's like the introverted people, introverts, people that love to be on their own. And they love their space, they love their privacy, they love their quiet time, they love everything about them. This group of people, I wouldn't say they are really lonely, because it is man-made. It is what they want for themselves. They like their lifestyle like that. So it's not like they're actually missing out on anything. They just love their company. They don't want stress. They don't want noise. They don't want... To them, crowd is not something they want to mix up with. They just like their thing. They like the way they are. So to this group of people, I wouldn't say they are lonely. That's just their nature. That's just how they like it. That's just how they want their own life to be. But for people who actually want people around them, who actually want a community around them, who actually want one or two people to talk to discuss with, to chat with, that's where the actual loneliness that can lead to depression comes in. There are people who are so lonely that they get so depressed, so frustrated. Do you know what it means to go home and you open the door and nobody's there to welcome you? You cook and you eat all your food alone. There is nothing like dining and whining with anybody. You dine and wine all by yourself. Hardly does anybody come to check up on you. Nobody knows when you're feeling sick. Nobody knows when you're down. You could be in the house all by yourself, feeling very, very ill, and nobody knows if you were dying. Some people even go ahead to die in the house alone, and nobody knows they have been gone for days. Loneliness is terrible. So if you have friends, if you have people, do not always wait for them to check up on you first. Try as much as possible to check up on people, even without them checking up on you. Try as much as possible to know how your neighbor is doing. Try to know how your friends are doing, your family. Try to reach out to people, because you never can tell what exactly they are passing through in life. Thank you very much for watching, and have a Merry Christmas.